What's up, YouTube? This is Jake from the Idabros coming at you guys with another Demon Slayer video. So the last one that we put up was at the end of last week, and it was more or less a recap of where it started, where we got to today. Um, this video is going to be a little bit different. Instead of trying to go through and covering 20 plus episodes all at once, I just want to focus on the most recent episode of Demon Slayer, and that's going to be Demon Slayer episode 21, Against Core Rules. Um, so what we see on the screen, this is really the part of the episode, and we'll get there in a little bit. But I always like to point out when, like, you're watching a show or a movie, and they say the phrase that is either the title of the movie or the title of the episode, and it's always funny because it's like, ha, that's where they got it from. Anyways, jumping into the episode itself, we open the first, probably about third of the episode, I would say, is going to be a flashback, and what this flashback is going through is essentially what the what is he, the fifth lower moon, Rui, what he was in his human life and how he became a demon, and what that meant to him and how kind of everything unfolded. So we see that as a human, of course he's still in that same form as he was. He was a child, he was small, but we also find out that he was had some sort of disease, or he was, in the episode it says he was frail. He wasn't able to run. He was barely able to walk, and it made it so he didn't really have that much of a life outside of being bedridden. What we see is, after he goes through that, we have Muzin, which is the big head demon. He shows up and turns him into a demon, as he does. And what we see is, he idolizes the family structure, and this kind of goes to how he acts as we see him, and I guess we could say present day of the show, where he tries to model, his demon underlings, I guess you could say, off of a family structure. And this goes all the way back to, his human life, and I guess the beginning of his demon life as well, and how even then he idolizes his family, and he very strictly says, hey, the father's there to protect, and the siblings and the mother and all that kind of stuff, they all are essentially to serve him. What we see is, once he's turned into a demon, he's still living with his family, but he does demon things. He starts, eating people, and, can't go outside in the sun, even though his body is strong. He has all these trade-offs, and eventually his father comes to him and tries to kill him. And, of course, we know as the audience, he's not going to be able to kill him with a pocket knife or, whatever short sword that he has, right? He's not equipped to do it. So he tries to stab him. Rui ends up eating, his dad and mom. And after the fact, he starts thinking over the situation, because it was just everything was a reaction. He woke up and his parents were trying to kill him. And what he recalls is that prior to his father trying to stab him, he said, essentially apologizing and saying, hey, after I kill you, we're going to kill ourselves. We're all going to go out together. But dude ate him, so, like, it is what it is. Muzin ends up coming back, in the flashback, and scooping him up, and, definitely trying to push the narrative that, don't trust the humans, your parents weren't going to do anything, they tried to kill you, and that's it. So that was just giving, some backstory to the character and how he got to the way he was, on, how his whole family, like, his need for family was constructed. From there, we jump back into present day, and what we see is, Tanjiro doing Tanjiro stuff, and we see this throughout the series, and it definitely seems like it's going to be a very running theme, is towards the very end, whatever demon that is getting slayed in the moment, Tanjiro has a final moment while they're crumbling to pieces where he sees the human side in him. And something that's really interesting between the dialogue between Tanjiro and man, I always have a hard time pronouncing his name. Tomoka? I don't know. The main dude, the guy that recruited Tanjiro in the first place, the one that lopped off Rui's head, his homie, his other water breathing guy. Tanjiro essentially says, hey, I won't hesitate to kill a demon that's hurting people, but at the end of the day, if it is a demon that regrets its actions and grieves over the fact that they lost their humanity, that at very least I'll respect them when they go. Like, I won't hesitate to kill them. Like, I'm not gonna not take him out. And we saw that a couple episodes earlier when he went through and was trying to take out essentially the spider mother chick that was manipulating everybody and killing everybody. She had a moment of regret and acceptance of her death, and he switched forms to, I can't recall which form that it was, but where he essentially painlessly killed her. So that's a kind of interesting bit of dialogue. From there, we move forward, and the butterfly chick, again, man, I'm terrible with names. I'm not even going to try and pretend with some of them. So we're just going to dub her the butterfly chick moving forward. She was the one that we saw in the first slide there when she was saying it's against core rules. She shows up, and she's not really privy to who Tanjiro is. Of course, he has the get up. She knows that he's he's a demon slayer. But he doesn't know about Nezuko. He doesn't know about the she doesn't know about the situation and whatnot. And she essentially rushes him to try and take Nezuko out, because at this point Tanjiro's trying to protect her still. He's on top of her. She rushes him, and they have kind of a little exchange, her essentially saying, "Hey, I'm going to kill her." Tanjiro trying to plead with her and say, "Hey, this is my sister." And her response is, "Okay, cool. Well, then I'll use a poison that doesn't give her pain." So it's funny because this is kind of what Tanjiro had said before, but we see the difference with Tanjiro and what Butterfly Chick is saying is she doesn't care. There's no she doesn't take into consideration who the demon is. It's black and white. Whereas with Tanjiro, and to a lesser effect with the other guy, there are at least some shades to where he could say, hey, Nezuko is a demon, but she has not, nor to our knowledge at this point, will she harm a human. So, leave her alone. Butterfly Chick's not hearing any of it. She still is, on point on trying to kill her. We're introduced to the kind of the comedic point of the episode where the Butterfly Chick is telling, man, I'm going to keep on butchering this guy's name, Tomiko, that nobody likes him. And it's super funny because the episode itself, there's not a tremendous amount of action. It's really packed with dialogue and it's definitely a transition episode, but having some sort of comedic part in there is pretty cool. To this point, dude, tells Tanjiro to book it, take Nezuko and try and escape, and he's going to hold her off. And the big thing, too, is at this point, those two, the Butterfly Chick and, the other, man, Tomiko, they're equals, right? They were sent on this mission together. We're not too sure on power scaling at this point in the anime. I'm sure the manga is. But, more or less as an audience, we have to say, hey, they probably are pretty equal in overall fighting capabilities. Everybody has different strengths and weaknesses and things like that, but overall, they should be almost equal or some effect. So that's kind of, he holds him off, Tanjiro runs out, and with this part, the rest of it is really Tanjiro running away, those two kind of having this back and forth, and eventually Tomiko, or I think his other name is Gyo. That might be easier. Gyo ends up overpowering the butterfly chick, right? And she mentions, hey, the other one is still out there. At this point, we did not see, but there's another, and here we have them where they're, he finally has her in a headlock. She's gonna try to escape from it, but she mentions that there's another demon slayer there, and what we see is it's actually, more or less, it looks like her apprentice. And again, manga-wise, I'm sure there's more information here, but at least as an audience of the anime, we say, hey, obviously they have the butterflies, they're together. We're going to say, at least for this time frame, that she's the butterfly chick's apprentice. And also, she took part and passed in the final selection that both Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inuzuka did. So she's been a demon slayer just as long. Well, she makes quick. I mean, Tanjiro's messed up at this point, right? He's been fighting and getting his ass kicked nonstop. She knocks him off real quick, and what we see is, she's trying to kill Nezuko at this point, but even she notices that all Nezuko is doing is essentially shifting form into, like she does, going from regular size down to a small child size, and avoiding all of these attacks without striking back. Right, there is no for a demon, and again, nobody knows her at this point other than Tanjiro and Gyo. Like, they don't know that she hasn't attacked people. Even our apprentice butterfly chick is like, it's kind of weird, but she is in the same black and white mindset. Even though there's no attack, she doesn't care. She's trying to offer. At this point in the episode, we're getting towards the end. There's, in this, we'll go back a little bit, in this confrontation here, right when there's about to be the strike with the heel, their messenger crows go off. And they essentially say, don't kill Tanjiro, don't kill Nezuko, sorry. Capture them and bring them back to Demon Slayer HQ. So that essentially, we don't know what would have happened. Tanjiro was out for the count, though. Honestly, Nezuko probably would have died right here. Like, she is in a point where she won't harm humans due to, like, the hypnotism and everything, and, her character overall. Like, she probably would have got off. So that saved her life, right? Crows came in last minute. We get a couple shots of the other, kind of the main trio. Zenitsu's here, and he is all tied up, bandaged up. He was able to get the antidote in time after, clapping the demon that he was up against, the creepy spider one that was trying to turn him into a spider. He got saved in time, and we saw that in one of the last episodes where Butterfly Chicks showed up just in the nick of time, and he had went through and slowed down the poison enough to where it was reversible. Another interesting thing that we saw in this episode was more continuation of growth for what's his name, Inuzuka, the wild boar man, right? Again, I might be mispronouncing his name. I can't recall right now if there's an S or a Z in the middle for some reason. But he's still hanging up in the tree that Gyo threw him in when he first got there, because Inuzuka was going to try and fight more, but dude was banged up. And we see, again, more growth in him realizing that, maybe fighting and forcing himself in these situations, he's like, hey, maybe I'm not the strongest. And we see this, especially with shonen, with a lot of characters that are power-driven. Sometimes there are these kind of down-and-out moments where, like, they get rocked, but hopefully it leads to this comeback where maybe he's more of a complex character, and it's not just, hey, I'm just going to fight for fighting's sake because I'm the strongest. Maybe we'll get to see him be more of a character that still is driven by power, is still somebody that is seeking strength, but also get kind of more of a complex training side, or he will find. And again, I know manga, people that read the manga are probably know this already. Maybe none of this happens. Maybe it all happens. Who knows? But what I would like to see, of course, the simplicity of some of these characters is what makes it so good. But at the same time, having a little bit more depth, or at least for us to know as the viewers, a little bit more depth on these characters, especially him. He's a very, very straightforward character. That'll be cool. So it'll be really interesting to see where, especially after this specific, I keep on wanting to call them arcs because they have that kind of arc mentality to them, but I don't think they're long enough, like in terms of story, to become arcs. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but it's going to be really interesting to see where all the characters go after this. Final shot is we have Tanjiro waking up forcefully, and he is surrounded by I believe they are called the Hashiras. They're essentially the highest rank of the Demon Slayers. I believe that they also make up the 9 pillars, which is not something that as anime viewers we've been very privy to. But I feel like this next episode, episode 22, is definitely going to give us a lot more world building and world knowledge, so it's going to be really awesome to see. Anyways, that was my episode 21 Against Core Rules Demon Slayer recap. I definitely think it was an awesome episode. We've come off of the last few episodes of this series just being action-packed, and they've been some of the most amazing anime fights that we've had as viewers, or at least that I've had, have seen in a long, long time. And it can be a little bit jarring to go from, those kind of action-packed episodes down to this. There was still more or less some action, but it wasn't the craziness that we saw. Either way, this is Jake from the Idabros. I'm going to keep on putting up these anime reviews. I personally enjoy them. Haven't really gotten too many views on the previous videos, but maybe this one will have a little bit more retention or draw to it, since hopefully it's not going to be 15 minutes. But anyways, thanks again, guys. Comment, like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that kind of good stuff. Check out some of my other anime recap videos, or if you are a Yu-Gi-Oh player, definitely go through and take a look at any of our most recent replays. We got some Fire Fist, Inzector, and then, of course, my favorite GB replays that have been up in the last couple months. Definitely go check those out. But thanks again for watching. Peace out.